'cause you ain't seen no nothing yet. I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man, baby. I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man. Well, the road, let me pull you in, give you hope, and be your only boyfriend. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh. What? Talking about a soul man. Talking about soul man. No. Talking about a soul man. A soul man. Soul man. Can I be soul man? You're a soul man. Will you let me be soul man? I don't mind soul man. You're soul man. I'd like to be soul man. You're soul man. One and only soul man. I'd like to be. Everything is beautiful. The cotton fields, the open road, the radio plays a song we both know. We don't sing along. La 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 la. These little lies. La 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 la. These little lies. La 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 la. These little lies. La 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 la. These little lies. Words can be daffodils or a fire in an open field. I'm sitting here in the ash of stupid words I can't take back. La 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 la. These little lies. La 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 la. These little lies. La 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 la. These little lies. La 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 la. These little lies. There's a devil on my shoulder, baby. Ooh. And I believe too many things he said.
Hey everybody, how are you doing? It's Kristen Bernier. So excited that you are on tonight. We are live streaming in the Stories of Hope group as well. So if you are there, welcome, welcome, welcome. So tonight we are going to be doing part 2 of Level Up Your Metabolism. So the first time that we did this, we were kind of keeping it as a mystery product, but thankfully now the mystery is over and we can talk more about the SolleFitGP, and we're super excited to dig deeper into that. But before we get started, I also wanted to mention that tomorrow night is the official launch event of the SolleFitGP. If you go to the Soul Naturals Facebook page, you'll see this right here. And it starts at 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 Mountain Time, 8 Eastern Time, yada, 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 do the time conversion. So that is going to be a great opportunity for you guys to dig even deeper into the product, but I'm super excited for what we have for you tonight. So to kick us off, I'm going to ask Miss Betty Runkle if she would come off mute, and she's going to tell us a little story about what SolleFitGP has done for her.
Are y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, hi, everybody. Oh, sorry. It never fails. People want to talk to me when I'm in the middle of something. I have to say that, and I wrote this in a post also, but I have to say that SolleFitGP has been the single most profound product for me personally since the beginning with SolleVital, and since NeuroIM. Those two products were pretty substantial for me in taking my health to the next level. But this SolleFitGP came along, and I'd been struggling with metabolism, insulin resistance, metabolic stasis, just not able to ever get my metabolism revved up enough without stimulants that I would increase my body temperature and increase my burn rate. Even though I've worked out my whole life, I do all the right things. I eat right. I practice the 90-10 rule. SolleFitGP comes along, and all of a sudden, I'm not cold anymore. My workouts are not wearing me out. I've got energy, so I'm staying motivated. I'm staying in control of my health choices. And the biggest thing for me, though, and I don't even really have the words for it, except that, and if some of you know me, you know that I might be a little bit on the focus attention spectrum, and my desk is always a mess. My office is always just a total wreck. And my excuse was always to all my clients who come in and sit at my desk and they see this mountain of papers and just complete disarray is, oh, just think of me as the nutty professor. Can't find anything. I have to have everything out in front of me. That has completely changed for me. You can notice on the back, my shelves are organized. Normally those were stacked up with papers, research papers, all kinds of different things that I just was one day going to get to. But when I started GP, I started cleaning. I started letting go of things that I was really emotionally attached to, or that I was afraid to let go because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to find it again, or if I put it up or filed it away, then I wouldn't be able to find it. So for me, it's helped me stick to my exercise and nutritional program better than ever before. It's helped me to stay organized. It's lifted some brain fog for me, and it's helped me to keep my brain calm. I will tell you that this is the first time in my entire life, and I'm over 50, that my brain has been calm. And I didn't know that until we started with SolleFitGP. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, and I'm really excited. And in the process of the 8 weeks that I've been on it, I've lost 12 pounds, multiple inches all over my body without changing anything in my program other than adding SolleFitGP.
That's just amazing, Betty. And you know, watching you from afar has just been so cool. And one thing I wanted to kind of point out was the thought you said of letting go, because there is a theme in many of these testimonies of organization and cleaning and purging, and not just of weight, but of emotions and of things. So that's awesome. I love that. Love that a lot. All right, so let's hear from the man, the myth, the legend, Greg. So Greg is the Soul Naturals founder, president, amazing guy, and I hope that you guys enjoy as Greg walks through the ingredients of SolleFitGP, and you'll start to get a fuller picture of why we're so excited about this product. So thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Kristen. So Betty's awesome. And I'm sitting here, so 2 words listening to you, Betty. well, it doesn't sound as good as it did in my head, but it's like, so I'm going to make it 3 words. So, listening to you tonight, I've always been super impressed with Betty. She knows that. And same thing with you, by the way, Kristen, but both of you guys, it struck me this tonight, because I know you're using GP2, right, Kristen? Yeah. Do you both like 2 a day? Is that where you're at? 2 to 4 a day?
I'm on 4.
You're on 4. Yeah, there's a lot of people on 4, a lot of people on 2. So yeah, calm and sharp. That's what I sat there thinking, calm and sharp. That's, and you're always that way, but like more and like the shelves, all of your shelves. I'm trying to do the same thing here. I'm doing a redo. Kendall actually is doing a redo of the office. See, look at his handiwork over there. Pretty cool, huh? I haven't put the stuff on it yet because he's finishing up. But anyway, tomorrow night, we're going to have a lot of fun and talk through some more too. But I'm happy you kind of get a little bit of a kind of a sneak peek tonight, right? We won't have a ton of time, but there's enough. And I want to apologize to you because I know part of what I do tonight is what I call stare and share, because I'm looking at some information, some nuggets that are amazing to me that I want to give you, adding to what you see here in the ingredients. It's worth it. It's worth a little bit because it helps us understand ourselves. I mean, I loved what those different points that Betty brought out that are part of what we call metabolic mastery. That to me is why we did GP. It is the reason. Metabolic mastery is something that can be learned absolutely, and the levers can be manipulated by every single person. It's just sharing the education with each other, because we all have it, and we've got a bunch that we've gathered up that we're going to throw into the mix here, and over the next number of months, some really great little deep dives into these elements. But I want to just say one thing before I tell you a thing or two about each of these ingredients. What Betty said is the way we viewed the product. Notice how Betty said, I added it to the program I was doing. Really, Soul's about balance and finding the various things in there, and they are super important as well. And I'll mention a thing or two about that tomorrow night if you can jump on tomorrow night. But the way Betty said it, I added it to my program. GP is really designed. You can do it by itself. There's quite a bit of balance built into it, but it's actually built to add it to your program. So like, talk with your mentor. It's worth the talk with your mentor about what's my program that I'm going to add this to, because I guarantee you it is designed this way and you'll see more. So yeah, having said that, Grains of Paradise is the GP, right? This is exactly what they look like. They're super cool looking. They're kind of magnetized here. They're small little peppercorn looking things. They're actually smaller than, like, if you view in your mind peppercorns, those pepper shakers that you grind that we've all had, like about the size of that. These are smaller and they're richer. They're incredibly diverse in what they have. So here's my stare and share, okay, on Grains of Paradise. West coast of Africa, used for a long, long time for a variety of health issues. Let me tell you why, okay? Because there are a number of nutritional components that are very beneficial, and a few of them are highlighted. One of them is a group of nutrients called 6-paradol, 6-paradol. And we use the Grains of Paradise, we actually use the 6-paradol at a 12.5%, but I will tell you, this is a little bit of a cheat, that our lab results, because we always double test here, came in at 13.2, 13.1, 13.2. Blake has that. So this is actually even slightly more potent than what is in the test. They have to guarantee our supplier that it's a minimum of that. And so they'll always come a little higher. That way they know they're safe with us. Half of the Grains of Paradise is this concentrated amount. Why? Because it's the amount that was shown over time to increase what they call EE, energy expenditure, in the cells. And it is the thermogenesis, the heat generation, that converts or burns the brown fat and plays a role in converting the other fat, which is the non-movable, into this brown fat that your body can burn for energy. So that's why this is in there. This is that story. This is wherever you hear about Grains of Paradise or the part of a product that is that, particularly those fat cells that tend to be around our gut and our waist. Then the other part of the grains of paradise that we have in here is the full spectrum. Why? Because here are two other components that are in it that are super important. One's called 6-Shagaol, S-H-A-G-A-O-L, Shagaol. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. It might be close. And 6-Gingerol is another one. That sounds familiar, ginger, because it is in the ginger family. It's a unique species. Why those other two? Well, the other grains of paradise that we have almost an equal amount compared to the 12.5% is a 5 times concentrate of all of the components of grains of paradise. So you're really actually getting something that excels what the studies have shown people taking. You've got something that excels that, and it's also complete. The 6-Shagaol has been tied to in clinical studies to being brain protective. I'm thinking of Betty's comments. It's neuroprotective and it pulls inflammation down, particularly in the brain, but also stimulates nerve cell growth. That's a really interesting one to me. You know us at Soul. We don't look at just something where you pull out a constituent, an isolate, and use it. We love this balance in nature because other important factors are being addressed. So that's part of 6-Shagaol. And then 6-Gingerol, shown in studies to actually aid the body against abnormal cell development, pulling inflammation down, addressing blood sugar levels, and as an overall powerful antioxidant. That's the 6-Gingerol. You find 6-Gingerol in ginger, which is in a couple of other Soul products. So you can get that there as well, but it also is in grains of paradise. So that's just a little bit of stare and share on the grains of paradise. Let's jump to the next one, okay? Yerba mate. Why is this so important? How does 196, that's the number I'm going to give you, latest data, because more is always being discovered, right? Known vitamins, minerals, amino acids, other plant compounds, the sum of all those in yerba mate almost reaches 200. So that's why when people say, hey, do you take a multivitamin along with all this? I haven't found one that's anywhere close to this. That's why yerba mate is in a very large amount, a very significant amount. Now, that's half of the story, super nutritious. And it has, look at that, 15 amino acids. So you have these building blocks that are a fully, you could call it up to 50% of the whole process of metabolism, which is these building blocks of proteins that the body uses that burns energy to create structure and body composition. We know that directly affects our metabolism. So yerba mate's helping in that, but also yerba mate has 3 different kinds of lifters. So there's part about lifting and energy and mental focus. For some, it's like their mental smile. It can be mood. It can be brain related. It's going to be unique to you. Is because you have 3 different xanthine alkaloids in yerba mate. You have its unique form of caffeine, which is non-addictive and non-damaging to the heart. And then you have theobromine and theophylline, 2 other, you might recognize those from chocolate. One of those is in chocolate. These all operate differently to give us energy. And because you have this all 3 in yerba mate and not one, which is the typical, what we find in nature, it's much more balanced with mate. You don't get the spike and the crash. And that's the stare and share on yerba mate. Let's look at the next one. Okay, red beetroot. Again, yes, we know we're weird on this at Soul. We have 2 different forms, just like grains of paradise. That actually tells you about how we rate the importance of red beet in the formula. When you see 2 different forms of it, you know we're rating that as one of the absolute central key ingredients. I'm glad you got it 3rd here, Kristen, on the slides, because it does lots of different things. And look what it does right there. It has to do with oxygenation. There is more than we know, I think. I'm just giving you opinion to society today wandering around half dehydrated, that we don't get enough water. So always kind of low on that scale. And I would say low oxygen to the brain cells. That's opinion I'm giving tonight, because diet related and stress, we aren't getting those deep saturating breaths and oxygen where it needs to go. Red beet does an amazing job for several different reasons in helping with that. And we've got it in two different forms. One is a concentrated form with several components, and the other is the full powder. So again, we're covering the full gamut of what it brings, but we also emphasize this oxygen stimulating property to red beet. Okay, next one. Apple cider vinegar. Awesome that's number 4. Obviously, ours is not in liquid. It is produced and then powdered. And it's actually quite stable in a powder form. And apple cider vinegar, I would say lots of reasons in here. You can see them listed here. Look what it does in terms of it's very anti-pathogenic. In fact, I will tell you a little secret, little like asterisk in your notes. This is quite a robust immune strengthening formula. If you look through the ingredients, this is a really interesting immune elevating formula, even though it is not what we all talk about with this. This is part of the reason helping your microbiome is a huge part of this, because the microbiome plays a huge role in metabolism among really everything else, right? But look what else it does. They talk about one of the things talked about in studies, and this is from I apologize for the stare and share, because I'm gonna flip to my note here because I didn't want to forget to share this with you on apple cider vinegar, is a particular study that focused on the acetic acid in apple cider vinegar, a direct aid to metabolism rate. In fact, they do see with steady use of it, that rate goes up slightly. So right there, just apple cider vinegar, people don't always see it for what it is there. It is a direct accelerant to metabolism, but it also deals with blood cleanliness, both blood lipids, the way we manage blood sugar, just the health of our circulation. Apple cider vinegar is actually a wonderful nutrient. It's a group of nutrients that aid in that whole process. Okay, so next one, rooibos, and we got 2 of them here. Rooibos, in our view, is an adaptogen. Not always on everyone's list. Clearly, our opinion, it's an adaptogen. Dealing with anxious tension, lowering that. Stress is super powerful. We say that every time we talk. We want to harness it for good. Nourish it, bring the right components that can make a difference, and then let that be positive, that positive tension in our lives instead of sort of destructive or debilitating. Deals with a lot of the same things, but there are studies with rooibos that show it actually inhibits the formation of fat cells. So that's a biggie, and that's a little different than the other ingredients, dealing right at that root process. Nopal cactus, the next one, back to this all-important area of blood sugar management. To me, one of the stars, if not the star. I'm biased. We all have our biases, right? I'm super biased to nopal. That's why it's in SolleFitGP, and it's why it's in Cinemate. Because of the great research that Mary Fernandez did. That Dr. Fernandez showed, it has stuff that lowers sugar in your blood. It has stuff that raises it. It's adaptogenic. It doesn't matter if you're hypoglycemic or on the other side of imbalance, and even in more serious situations where it's the imbalance is greater and chronic, you can make an immediate difference. Add that into your diet and watch what changes in your body. But on top of all of that, and that's why we love nopal, notice that it's actually quite loaded with amino acids, these building block proteins. It's high in vitamin A. Think of your eyes. Vitamin C, again, back to what I said about, as this is actually a great immune product, and it is protective of your body's digestion and absorption, another key part of metabolic mastery. So nopal cactus is a big one for us as well, and not just in this product. Next one. Let's go to Coleus forscoli. Oh, if we could put a list and show all the plants that are part of the mint family that have huge benefit for health, both mental and physical, we'd have a long list. Coleus is in the mint family. It's been pretty heavily studied, and I will say it's just by chance locally. We've here in Utah, there's a company that's done a ton of study on Coleus forscholi. And their focus has been metabolism because it's such an issue here in the United States and in a lot of other places, but probably nowhere worse than here. I don't know. Their Coleus forscholi directly affects a particular enzyme that regulates how our body burns fat. That's kind of all I need to know. We can get into more detail, but not just fat, not the way not just how our body handles that, but how it also manages the sugar stores. And there is a hormonal connection as well in hormone balance. It's a very interesting plant. That's to me semi-adaptogenic in some of its behavior. Dr. Allison will always say to her, the key factor is that for something being adaptogens, it affects that HPA axis, the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenals, that whole stress response and how that connects and interconnects among those three. Coleus shows some activity there. So it's a really good fit. And again, in its own unique way, helping regulate how our body's dealing with metabolism. Number 8, ashwagandha. I will tell you why it's in there. Okay, there's a study that shows body composition can be improved with ashwagandha. My personal belief is that's partly due to the nutrients, but guess what? One of the superior stress managing adaptogens. So heavily studied, lots of options out there. We use a concentrated extract. And so if it does nothing more in this formula, and it does more than that, but its main purpose is to help us maintain a healthy stress response, keep that in the range that we want it in. And that achievement right there is going to create success, a whole level of success for metabolism. That's why ashwagandha is in here. And we should have 1 or 2 more, I believe. Yes, this might be the last one. I can't remember. Probably is, huh, Kristen? We had to put this healthy bacteria. It's part of ProBioIQ. It does lots of good things. Studies that show it produces bacteriocins, things that kill even very stubborn bacteria. This probiotic manufactures substances that will kill it. It manufactures at least 3 different B vitamins. And one of them, if you go to Europe, it's registered as a significant dietary source of B12, the one that you see here. So a lot of you hear about people getting B12 shots. So I look at it this way: you can go and eat some B12, consume it, or you can build B12 factories into your digestive system. I'd rather build the factories by bringing these nutrients in. Now, I admit you need to keep on this because why? Oh, we're very talented in our society about destroying our probiotics with different means. So we need to always repopulate the bank, the bank deposit. It, in my opinion, should be daily on probiotics, just lifestyle with us. But this is an awesome one. Lots of evidence show that the other friendly flora proliferate more if this is in there. It also produces substances that keep dangerous bacteria from adhering to the walls of our intestines. Lots of neat studies that show this is a really good team player in your gut. Does lots of things for the good team that's in you. And many of those, probably most all of them, connect into your metabolism. So there we go, Kristen. I don't know if I covered what we had. That's the quick dive. I didn't stare too much tonight.
I mean, I feel like you were amazing. You should see all the notes that I wrote, and I know tomorrow night I'm gonna write even more. And the one that I was especially thinking about that I learned tonight with the red beetroot with the oxygen. And I was thinking about that. For those of you guys who don't know, a bunch of us from Soul just went to Bryce Canyon. And for us flatlanders, that was a bit with the altitude and
it's high altitude.
Yeah. And there were times when I felt like I couldn't catch my breath. And I really, as I was listening to you, I think the red beet helped with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Bryce is almost 8,000 feet, just to put that in perspective. So you're actually might be slightly over that in certain parts of it. So it's very significant. You're going to feel it. And you can feel a difference too, for sure.
Yeah. I almost felt like I would take one of them at the beginning of the trail and I'd be able to breathe better. So that was a cool connection. Well, thank you very much, Greg. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
All right. So Next up, we have Jessica Sanford. She is not able to be on tonight, but she so kindly recorded a video for us. So let's take a listen. Or maybe not. All right, well, I'll just go ahead and read her testimony. It says, during the first 2 months of using SolleFitGP, I have definitely felt more energy. My favorite benefit overall has been the mental kick in the pants to get stuff done that I put off forever, and the physical kick in the pants to actually get that stuff done, like cleaning and clearing out all the things. I feel like GP has helped me level up and keep up with life. And if you know Jessica at all, she is definitely a busybody. So seeing her have these tremendous results has been pretty awesome. All right. Holly, we're up to you. Can you take yourself off mute? We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, I had to click it 3 times. It did not want me to be off mute. Hi, everyone. It's really good to be here. I'm Holly Burnell, and I think there are so many good things about this product that I don't know if my expectations, well, they were exceeded. I think they were just exceeded. I had one glip, and that was in the very beginning. I had a lot of extra energy that it made me anxious. So you've heard Greg talk about, dosing. You got to make sure you're listening to your body. I had to back off for a few days, kind of get that under control, and then ramp back up. But I've only used 2 a day, and it gives me all the energy that I need to get through my day. I had one day, I was getting ready to be off for a few days, and I had reports to write. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a practicing nurse practitioner. I had 10 reports to write that I knew that if I didn't get those written, I wouldn't have enjoyed my time off. Got them all done, like with time to spare. It was amazing. So my productivity and my energy level has been amazing. I had hit a plateau. I've been on a very, we'll say, rigorous quest for a healthy weight for the last 6 months, and I had hit a plateau, and it didn't matter what I did, I couldn't get past it. And lo and behold, our early feedback group kicked in, and I started taking my SolleFit, and I broke through that plateau, lost an additional 5 pounds during that month, and a few inches here and there. So I'm just amazed, but for me, definitely it's been the productivity that has really kept me right there with it. So great product.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Holly. All right. And the next person is actually me. So give me 1 second. So I wanted to talk a little bit from a different perspective, and just talk about my experience the last couple of weeks. And so I had a really interesting month of October. I left at the beginning of the month, and we went to our summit, which was in Provo, Utah. And then after that, we went to Bryce Canyon, as I was talking about. I came home for a day, and then I went to Sedona with my family. And so for me, I have experienced in the past just tremendous debilitating anxiety and fatigue. So I really had 3 fears going into it. One was I going to be able to be calm doing all of this? Because that's a lot for me. The other was I going to have the energy to keep up with it? And then my third fear was sort of business. What was my business going to look like? Because the income that I make with Soul is a big part of our family income. And so I have to say, having just gotten home this past weekend, my 2 fears dissipated. And I didn't even think about them. I was calm the whole time. I was able to be present and enjoy myself. I literally don't know how I had the energy I had, but not a jittery energy. I think between Bryce Canyon and Sedona, I probably hiked about 100 miles in higher altitude, as we were talking about. So that's exhausting for your family, or for me, and on top of it being with my family or Soul people and things like that. And then speaking of business, and this was the one that really hit me because that was a big fear for me, was that I didn't have to worry about my business. One of the great things about Soul is that you can take it anywhere. And so I was able to have my laptop with, I still was present with my family. I got up earlier than them. I stayed up later, you know, middle of the day, I'd open up my computer. You can really take it anywhere. I love that it's not linear, meaning that it's not completely dependent on me. And I think Greg and the rest of the guys were just so smart when they created this system of mentors where we have teams that surround us and we work with each other. And it's not just, I get paid for these hours that I show up. There's an ability to create that ripple effect. And in light of the SolleFitGP, I haven't counted. I know personally I'm into over 100 orders of SolleFitGP in the last 2 weeks, but there's been hundreds, if not thousands, in the whole organization. And the thing I love about SolleFitGP is I feel like it is, yes, a great part of a program, but it's also, for those of you who are interested in the business, this is a starter product that can get people's attention that maybe weren't interested in the natural world, in the holistic world, because, you know, obesity and all of that is such an epidemic. So, and it can kind of be quote unquote a gateway product for a lot of people to learn what Soul is all about. So if you are thinking about the business, this is a great time with the SolleFitGP, with all the things that we have in place. And I'm very thankful for it because it did make my vacation and it did allow me to be there and enjoy my time with my family. So having said all of that, it is a great time to think about the business. We have some really, really cool things coming out, some new business kits and lots of new bonuses, including double bonuses and all of this stuff that we'll talk about at a later day. But I really encourage you to think about it as a ripple effect, that what you do and sharing it with other people could create a ripple effect, not only in terms of income, but in terms of, you know, who could you impact and who could you help. So here's an example of some of us. Some of these people are corporate. Some of these people are just members. They're not even specialists. And some of these are dear friends from all over the United States. And that's one of the great things about Soul, is that we have this Soul family and we'd love for you to be a part of it. We also, for those of you guys who are on and you have stories and testimonies that you want to share, we would love to highlight you on this Monday night presentation or in our Facebook group, which is called Stories of Hope. Reach out to really just about anybody who's on here and we'll get you connected. And the Facebook group is called Stories of Hope. It's on Facebook. Make sure you join. And if you want a reminder to be reminded about this presentation every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, just text HOPE to 1-866-256-1970, and we'd love to have you. So thanks, Greg. Thanks, Betty and Holly and everybody else. And you guys have a great night, and we'll see you next week.